summary, basically, it's just too good.
Hey guys, welcome back to CMD and another video. You join me at Boho Bakery in Stroud, Gloucestershire, with the brand new BMW M2. I'm here today with friend to the channel, Paul Stevens, and a few of his cars to get some filming done. But for obvious reasons, this car was first on the agenda. As a previous M2 and M2 competition owner, I fell in love with my car based on the rugged, short wheelbase, grab it by the scruff of its neck that came with the characteristics of that car. You had to know how to drive well to drive an M2 or an M2 competition hard. But as this car has developed into the bigger, heavier, safer, newer iteration, I'm keen to find out if it's still got that jizz that would get me excited, or if it's now another super capable, numbed down drive. Only one way to find out. Let's take it out. Right, the brand new BMW M2 in comfort mode, just out of Boho Bakery. True to form, the British weather has come in on me. Great opportunity to test some of the capabilities, I guess. I think the first thing I've got to mention is how Paul has managed to get his hands on this car, because they are not easy to come by. Paul did have one on order, but it was not this car. So a special shout out has to go out to Andrew at BMW Hungerford, who supplied Paul with this car, which, as I understand it, was destined for fame somewhere else until they sold it to Paul. Spec sheet on this one is, I wouldn't say basic, but relatively basic. It's the automatic, black on black, and it's all the better for it. It hasn't got any of those, excuse me, garish BMW M Performance parts. Just driving out of a built-up area, initial impressions, the car feels large, just from a driving perspective. Proportions, it doesn't feel that dissimilar from a BMW M3. Now, there's no surprise there, and it's stating the blindingly obvious. Shares the wheelbase, and as I understand it, is 9 inches shorter. That's about 9 inches, isn't it? I promised I wouldn't tell that joke, but hey ho. You get all the BMW creature comforts, much like an M240 I drove only last week. I've got the long digital dash, heads-up display, and in efficiency mode, comfort, so again you can toggle everything as you might expect. This is a very pliable, very comfortable place to be. It could be mistaken for the M240i if you close your eyes. Really doesn't feel a huge amount different with all the basics. You know, this isn't uncomfortable in any way, shape or form, and that really is a leap on from its predecessor. I've got wireless charging. Adjustment wise, you get an awful lot. So if I tap into setup using the wheel, then I can choose everything from how I want my engine, so I'll knock that into sport, chassis into comfort, steering into comfort, brakes into sport. I can choose my M traction control. Obviously I'll be keeping that all the way on, bearing in mind the car, the weather, and the fact that it's not my own. We can go into some national speed limit roads and have some fun. See what this thing's about. Have to bear with me while I find my feet for a minute. slip. I mean, it's immensely capable, obviously immensely fast, so let's get the obvious things out of the way. It covers ground and pulls. I mean, the torque delivery is, you know, this thing will get you from A to B very, very, very quickly. Reminds me a little bit of the A45S I drove recently, in that it just seems to pull and pull and pull, and you can take it all the way to its red line of 7,000 and it will just go and go and go. Gear shifts are immensely quick. I know obviously the automatic box gets some stick. For those of you who watch the channel, you'll be aware, you know, I don't mind an automatic to say the very least. I think they have their place. And with this car driving, I mean, let's be frank, very similar to an M3 from a comfort and ability perspective. I feel like the auto suits it. Admittedly, I've not driven a manual, and if you wanted a manual of this car, you would have to pay for it. So in the last version of the M2 competition, 1 in 10 that BMW sold were manuals, and so they've obviously made the decision that based on the data, they want the auto to be standard. From a production line perspective, it's more simple. Again, lines up with the M3, M4. Struggling with the front end a little. It's okay, it's capable, but it's just a little vague. Wondering if I knock some of the settings around a bit, if that might improve. Let's try the chassis in sport, steering in sport. No, let's just make the steering heavier. Here we go. Yeah, okay. It's lightning fast. I can see why people have begun to like it, that maybe wouldn't have been in the catchment for the car originally. I'm on undulated, damp British roads, and it's mincing them up. It's clearly very good, very fast, very capable M car. It strikes me as something you could live with very easily. You're not going to find yourself frustrated with the ride on a day-to-day basis, which admittedly you could with the old M car very comfortably. Clearly got great function. All of the iDrive, all of the setup for me is market leading. I just don't think there's anything better out there when it comes to technology, dash, display, nav, you name it. I think BMW genuinely do it best. But I do have a fundamental issue with this car. BMW have got very good, haven't they, at launching controversial M cars, predominantly from a looks perspective. If you remember when the M3 was launched and the uproar around the grille, people have left very little to the imagination as to their thoughts on that car and what it looks like and how it's been received. And let's be fair to BMW, the M3, M4 is a success. They're selling in good numbers. There's nothing really not to love. They're very capable, very pliable, and immediately have launched a huge aftermarket modification world for that car instantly. New grills, new splitters, you know, it's all there for the taking. And I can't help but wonder if BMW know this, but the looks of this car, I'm sorry, it's got a face only a mother could love. When you sat in the driver's seat, let's be fair, none of that matters. You know, this is very much as stock with the exception of spacers at the moment. It's still not a looker, even in black. I maintain this is the colour to have, but what does that say about the styling of the car? And I'm sorry, the M3, M4 remains not a good looking thing. Now I've seen some fantastic aftermarket versions of what you can do, and yeah, I'll admit they look good, and they do. I've got no problem with them. But they're not fantastically styled, and whoever designed this, especially at the back, looks like they did it with an Etch-a-Sketch. But that's not my main critique of this car. So for me, the M2, the original, spawned from the 1M, was a grab by the scruff of the neck and hold on tight, because if you get it wrong, it will spit you off the road kind of experience. You had to be a good driver. You had to drive it well, otherwise it would punish you, okay? It would spit you off the road no sooner you gave it poor input. And so you had to drive it with an element of respect. And to drive it well took an element of skill. And that car taught me an awful lot about driving. And hence why I became a huge fan of one. Owned two, did over 20,000 miles in my competition, and you know, still could be in it today, very happy. But this car is so capable and so planted that I feel like we're losing some of that M car, baby M car DNA. Okay, the M3, the M5, yeah, they should be hands full. You know, they should be capable. They should be the ones that are sure-footed and grown up and adult. But the M2, and it's a hoot, you know, this is a fantastic drive, but it's just a bit grown up for my liking. It's a bit comfortable, and no doubt that's what BMW M customers want, and I'm all for it, but it's sort of lost a bit of its ruggedness. It's not as scary as it used to be. Now, before you all start smashing the keypad and telling me I'm an idiot, which admittedly might be accurate, I like the car. It's a good car. It's just lost its edge for me. That being said, if it was my money and I was looking at the M2 or the M3, bearing in mind that this is essentially the same car, you lose a bit of legroom, a bit of boot space, and a bit of length. But beyond that, I genuinely don't know what the difference would be. I think it's an absolute steal. July 2023, this is a £65,000 car from list, 69 if you put some half-decent basic options on it. Okay, that's 20 grand cheaper than an M3, which is essentially the underpinnings of the car. So all of a sudden then, subject to styling, looks like a winner. And a large majority of the aftermarket stuff I'm seeing really, really helps. I still maintain that that's a problem, because you shouldn't have to worry about aftermarket for your car to be pretty. But if you've got one on order, rest assured you are not going to be disappointed with the drive. It's ridiculously robust, immensely capable, stupidly fast, and you'll love it. That's it for me, guys, and that's it for the BMW M2. I hope you've enjoyed the video and my thoughts for what it's worth. If you're new to CMD and you've not seen our videos before, we've been set up as a YouTube channel with a difference. All of the revenue that we generate from videos like the one you're watching right now all lands into a designated bank account. All of those funds, every single penny, without exception, is donated to local, national and international charities. So far, since we've started, we've written cheques out for £1,500 to Birmingham Children's Hospital, £500 to a local homeless centre, £750 to Mission Motorsport, the list goes on. And that's all off the back of people like you watching videos like this. So if you like what you see, if you don't mind, hit that like button and give me a subscribe. It makes a huge difference. Thanks very much for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Cheers. So in summary, basically, it's just too good. If that doesn't tell you that I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, I don't know what has. What's your problem with the car, Dale? Well, it's too bloody good.